Alright guys, we are doing the second part of 5.4 and we are focusing on side, side, side. Okay? Now remember with side, angle, side, after we switched from cosines to sine, we had to do the smaller angle. The reason why I put this into 2 days is because, one, using law of cosines to solve for a side, side, side is a little bit more complicated. And when doing side, 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 you actually have to use the law of cosines to solve for the largest angle first. Okay, that's going to be a little switch. So, let's do some examples. Let's set up our ABC. A is 10, B is 16, C is 8. Again, this is side, side, side. So we have to start with the largest. In this case, our largest is B. Okay, so we are going to solve for angle B first. If we are using law of cosine and we are finding angle B, it means that that side has to be on the other side of the equal sign. In other words, it will look like this. 16 squared equals a squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 10 times 8 cosine the angle we're trying to find, which is B. So remember from the previous lesson, I told you the angle and the side on the other side have to match. They're both B's. This gets complicated when solving for the angles, so make sure you take your time with this. I'm going to do it step by step. If you find an easier way, you can do it as long as you come up with that answer. So I'm going to evaluate first. 16 squared is 256. 100 squared, or 10 squared is 100. 8 squared is 64. And I'm going to multiply all these together. 2 times 10 times 8 is 160. The only things I can combine at this moment are 164. So I get 256 equals 164 minus 160 cosine B. It is now here that we can start doing the opposite operation to what we see. So let's get rid of the 164 first. It is a positive 164, so how do we move that to the other side? Well, we would subtract it. So in your calculator, 256 minus 164 equals 92. So we get 92 equals negative 160 cosine B. Now let's get rid of that negative 160. What is negative 160 doing to cosine? It is multiplying. How do you get rid of multiplication? Division. So we're going to take 92, divide by negative 160. So we're at negative 0.575 equals cosine B. How do you get rid of cosine? Hopefully you said inverse cosine. So I can go second cosine, that gives me my inverse, and I can just take the answer from before. So up and then enter, enter again, and there is my answer. So what angle did we solve for again? We solved for B. So we get 125. If we go to the third decimal place, I have to say that the 6 rounds the 9 to a 10, which brings everything up. So it's going to be 0.100. Because we have a pair, we can now go back to law of sines. In this case, it won't matter if you do A or C first. It works either way. So I'm just going to solve for C, because it's something different. Alright, so law of sines. So we have sine C over 8, equals our pair. So sine 125.1 over 16. I'm going to go straight to what you should be plugging in your calculator because we learned law of sines 2 classes ago. So if you need extra help on that, please pause the video and raise your hand. But what we should be having is that C will equal, and what you'll put in your calculator is the inverse sine. You want to add an extra set of parentheses for that numerator. 8 times sine 125.1. Close that numerator parenthesis. Divided by 16. Okay, so I'm going to show you right now how to plug that in on your calculator. So inverse sine, extra parentheses, 8 times sine 125.1, close those parentheses, divided by 16. And we get that angle C is 24.147. If by chance you did not get this value, check your parentheses or check that your calculator is in degree mode. Now, since we have 2 angles, what can we do to find the third angle? If we have 2 angles, that means that we can subtract them from 180 because all 3 angles should add up to 180 degrees. So our answer is 30.753. Do you remember how to do a quick check to see if you're on the right path? Larger angle, larger side. Smaller angle, smaller side. If that didn't match up, you know you did something wrong. And if it matches up, it doesn't mean you're 100% correct, but you're on the right track. Alright, let's do one more example together, and then we are all done. So, A, B, C. A is 9, B is 7, C is 5. Which angle are we going to solve for first? why would we solve for it? Since this is a side, 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 we want the largest one. So I'm hoping you picked A. Okay, we're going to solve for A because it is the largest. So that means that side is going to go on the left side of the equal sign. So 9 squared equals. And then we have the other sides. So 7 squared plus 5 squared minus 2. Excuse me, I wrote that wrong. Minus 2 times 7 times 5 cosine the angle. Remember, those two should match. Angle with side. Sorry, I'm trying to get it to focus. There we go. Okay. We're going to evaluate this and then do opposite. So, 9 squared is 81. 7 squared is 49. 5 squared is 25. I'm going to multiply all of these three numbers. So, 2 times 7 times 5 is 70. Cosine A. I then can combine these two numbers. So 81 equals 74 minus 70 cosine A. So I have to go opposite. I have to get rid of that 74. It's a positive 74, so what am I going to do? I'm going to subtract from both sides. So 81 minus 74 is 7. Leaving negative 70 cosine A. Okay, next we're going to get rid of the negative 70. It is multiplying to cosine. So how do we get rid of multiplication? We divide it. So we get negative 0.1 How do we get rid of cosine? Inverse cosine. Alright, so inverse cosine. I'm just going to grab that number. We get 95.739. Now I'm grabbing that number, guys, because in case this was a long decimal, you don't want to round it in the middle of a problem. So just grab it if it's a decimal. Okay. Next we're switching to law of sines. So I'm going to actually solve for b in this case. Sine of b over 7 equals our pair. So sine of 95.739 over 9. Again, you want to think of law of sines, how you're solving to get b by itself. If you need help with that, pause it and raise your hand. So really what we're plugging in our calculator is inverse sine, extra set of parentheses, 7 sine 95.739 divided by 9. Inverse sine, extra set of parentheses, 7 sine 95.739, close the numerator, divided by 9. So we get 50.704. Okay, if you didn't come out with that, check your parentheses again. Okay, we have two angles. How do you find the third? Subtract them from 180. And we get 33.557. And this concludes our lesson for today. You may continue on your 5.4 homework and finish that up.